would you or Skype recording it?
Recording is on.
Hello and welcome to the DXDAO weekly call for Monday, February 7th, 2022. I don't think we have any new member introductions today, but we will be on the agenda today. We have exploring with HopperNet and sort of like the dumb Ethereum RPC provider. Under the DXbiz discussions, we have Carrot, eSport, big picture. This is sort of an ongoing discussion on the forum, Swapper tokenomics, and under DX events we have some discussions about ETH Denver, and I think that's it. We can maybe, if we have time, we'll talk about some of the DX Ventures opportunities. And I think we have Sebastian from Hopper here. So yeah, Sebastian, just by the way, I guess you heard, but this call is recorded. I hope this is okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, first of all, apologies for maybe bad quality as I'm driving right now. Has been a bit of a mad day. Sorry for that. And thanks for getting me here and talk about this derp thing that we're doing. And yeah, so maybe let me start in another direction. So I'm founder of Hopper, privacy project, big fan of DXDAO. We have a joint incentive pool on Swapper, which is really cool. Community really happy about it. So Hopper is basically a protocol that provides metadata privacy. So not on-chain, but off-chain. So basically sending data around in a private way. That's what we're doing. And so generally, I'm very passionate about privacy because I think privacy is the thing that brings resilient infrastructure and makes stuff actually censorship resistant. When we talk about censorship resistance, it's usually only in the context of decentralization. And then we think that by having stuff decentralized, it's definitely and inherently by some magic somehow going to be better and also more privacy preserving. And like that is basically not true. And some of that is what we're trying to improve with what we do at Hopper and other people who are privacy conscious and trying to really push the Web3 ecosystem towards more resilience, towards really empowering people, because that's the only thing that this whole thing is about for me. And again, our task here is to bring privacy on a data transport level. So yeah, in that context, what we were looking at was basically Ethereum RPC providers, right? So I think we're all aware of it, but just like a TLDR, like when you start your MetaMask, it connects to what is called a network, and that might be Gnosis chain, it might be mainnet, it might be Gurley, whatever the hell, right? And actually, this is not a network. You're not connecting to a network. You're basically connecting to a server, right? So network is kind of this nice fluffy term, but realistically, you're connecting to somebody else's server that you're trusting blindly. And you're trusting it blindly, with the data that they deliver, right? So if the server says you have 0 ETH on your balance, then you can go home and cry, but server says you have 0 ETH on your balance. And the second thing, and that's something that is not really talked about so much, is you're trusting it with your data, with your metadata. So this RPC provider, which tells you how many ETH you have on your balance, which you can query for specific events and stuff like that, that also, of course, sees your Ethereum address, and it sees your IP address. So this thing knows where you live, what your Ethereum address is, how much money you have, what sort of dApps you interact with, and a bunch of other things that are pretty surprising. So, I mean, I was aware of that. So it was like, hey, let's bring some more awareness to that, to other people, and build a little tool that visualizes all the things that an RPC provider learns about you, all the requests that they get from you. And that is what you were just mentioning. That is what we call derp. It's like a dumb Ethereum RPC provider that is basically doing nothing else than taking requests and sending stuff back to you, just like Infura or Alchemy or anybody else does. But it also sends it to a website. So if you want to play around with it, you can go to derp, that's derp.hoppernet.org, and you can basically fiddle around with it. We have an endpoint for mainnet as well as for Gnosis chain. And basically what this website shows you is like all the requests that you're making, that actually not just you are making, but that MetaMask happens to be doing for you. And this is where it starts getting actually pretty interesting. So I said that, I was kind of aware that there's a privacy issue, but I was really not aware of what exactly is happening under the hood. So I would just like to highlight a few things which are going on there, which I found really remarkable. So first of all, if you connect this derp endpoint to your MetaMask, we are not extracting any of this data, right? So this data goes to a server. We basically just forward it. I don't know where, actually. I don't know if we use the Pocket endpoint or Infura. And we send the request that you made to the server back to you, the same IP address who is on the website. If nobody's on the website, then nobody gets that data. It's not that this data is, going to some database and we do some data mining and shit like that on it. It's purely a visualization tool. And so the first thing that is surprising there is even when you just connect to the endpoint, is doing a bunch of requests. And that's already kind of interesting, right? So only when you connect your account to MetaMask is doing a bunch of requests to Infura, for example, to query a balance. And that makes sense, right? When you start MetaMask, you want to see, well, how many ETH or XDAI do I have on my balance? But what is surprising is that it doesn't just do that for that account. Maybe, like me, even though I said I was aware of it, like I have a bunch of accounts connected to my MetaMask, right? I have my hardware wallet connected to it. I have my Hopper account connected to it. And I also have a private account connected to that. I actually have multiple. And what happens is actually MetaMask is sending these requests for all accounts in one go out to the RPC provider and saying, hey, give me all of these accounts' balances. And also it's saying, give me all of their token balances. So basically, you trust an RPC provider, which happens to be located most of the time in North America, with a company that you have no, contractual engagement with, like with all this data. They know where you're living. They know what tokens you're interested in. They know what balances you're requesting. So they can link even kind of my company accounts, my private accounts, my fooling around accounts. They can link them all, right? And this is something that I find pretty scary. Because even though that I think, most of the technical people that work in the space have good intentions, I don't think everybody does that, right? So I cannot be certain that Infura, Alchemy, or whoever is running these services does not store my data. And I think the trust assumption of the Web3 should be stronger than that. Then the next thing that I found kind of remarkable, if you think about it really, is the potential for front running. So MEV is kind of a big thing, right? So that you extract value by front running, back running, or sandwich attacking other users, such as, for example, if you're trading on Uniswap or Swapper. So what is interesting, actually, if you think about it, what does MetaMask do when you're about to send a transaction? So let's say you're buying yourself 100,000 Hopper tokens on Swapper. So what happens, actually, is that MetaMask doesn't know how much gas you should send for that. MetaMask is actually just a pretty stupid front-end wrapper for like Web3 libraries, which in turn are just pretty stupid wrappers around an RPC provider. So what is actually happening is that when you're about to buy 100,000 Hopper on Swapper, then your wallet, your MetaMask, will send a request to that server and saying, hey, please tell me how much gas I should use here. And this is kind of funny because it has the entire fields of the transaction filled in, even though you didn't sign it yet. So the server knows about a transaction that didn't hit the mempool yet, that isn't even signed yet, but that you are going to submit probably within the next 5 to 10 seconds or so, right? Or while you're thinking, well, is that gas price reasonable? Yes, well, kind of like you just click confirm and then a transaction goes through. So this opens really an entire different level of value that can be extracted by RPC providers beyond just logging your data and potentially providing it to the IRS or whatever other country's three-letter agency you're dreaming about. So it really provides front-running potential to, so to say, front-run the mempool. And that's something that I find pretty interesting. And again, a trust assumption that I don't think is reasonable for the Web3 space that should be trust minimalized. So yeah, that's something that we've been building here at Hopper, this derp tool, just to visualize and make you aware of it and to play around with. And yeah, so that's basically in a nutshell what we've been building. If there's any questions to that, or happy to answer some questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe the first thing is like, how do we get started? Can you drop some links here? Oh, I guess you're driving. You said.
Cool. Can somebody drop the link maybe either to my tweet storm and or to the link that I mentioned? It's derp.hoppernet, HOPR net.org. Yeah. Thank you, Madusha. Exactly. That's it. So yeah, so with this thing you can play around with to find out what your RPC provider is learning about you. And I think I've been talking to Nathan about this before. This is not a tool that brings you more privacy per se just yet. Currently, it's only to bring awareness for what RPC providers learn about you. Yes, Hopper, like the protocol that we're working on, is like end of day supposed to provide you more privacy by sending transactions through Hopper instead of just directly through HTTPS or WebSocket connections. That is direct peer-to-peer connections. So that's what we're working on. We're not working on that. We're working on the protocol, but we're having a bounty at ETH Denver. I heard some DXDAO folks are going to be there as well. Would be super happy to catch up in person. So the first bounty of using Hopper for something useful will hopefully start happening at ETH Denver. Ross was saying, see you there. Yes, looking forward to that.
Thanks, Sebastian. This is all very good information and kind of scary. And so, yeah, the Thriller asked, and I also had this question, is like, is there anything that people can do today that or a guide or something that people can start to do today that really tries to solve and correct most of these scary issues?
Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, the answer is if you want something that's perfect, no, we can't do that today, which is really, really sad. But you can get 80% of the way there by just running your own Ethereum full node and connecting that to your MetaMask, right? Because what it will solve is when you're just querying, the state of some smart contract, or when you're just querying, well, how much gas should I send with these transactions? That is something that your own full node can perfectly well do. Now, why does that not get you 100% of the way there? So first of all, there's some issues which are baked into MetaMask, which are just querying other centralized providers without you even being aware of it, and there's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. So 2 examples. One is if you're holding NFTs, basically MetaMask is querying OpenSea, right? It's saying, hey, show me the NFT pictures, because I have to get these pictures from somewhere that this address has. So again, by doing so, it is disclosing your IP address and your Ethereum addresses to OpenSea without you even knowing about it. And that's a little bit shitty, right? And the second is to get the past transactions. That's a little bit, in my eyes, kind of a fuck up at Ethereum infrastructure level. There's no way, if you're running even a full node, that you can get kind of all past transactions off an account. It's just not possible through the normal RPC endpoint that a normal Go Ethereum or Erica node exposes. So in order to fix that, we have to rely, there's something that works, which is called True Blocks, but it's kind of like a little bit fiddly still, so it's not connected to MetaMask. So what MetaMask does is it asks Etherscan, I guess on XDAI, Gnosis Chain is probably asking BlockScout, hey, show me all past transactions of this account if you want that. And that's why it connects to Etherscan for some things, which is also a bit messed up, and you can't really configure that away. So that's why I said 80% of the way, not 100% of the way. Yeah, True Blocks IO, really great guys working on that. If you want to kind of like fiddle around with it, it's a great tool.
What kind of bounties would you be setting for the hackathon in Denver? And you'll also be attending our event, so it would be nice to meet you in person. It would be great to catch up and chat future collaboration. So
Absolutely.
on the bounties?
Yeah, so we are having 4 bounties. So it's like a little bit chaotic, but I mean, we have the same bounties online and on site. So it's 2 bounties, which is freestyle. Use the Hopper protocol to build whatever you want to, right? So like build your own chat app, build your own, like whatever you want to do, really. Send data and leverage the Hopper protocol to send data privately from Alice to Bob, whatever that is, right? Could be to people, could be like users talking to whatever, some service or whatever. That's 2. And then we have 1, which is actually connecting to exactly what we're discussing here. Build a tool that broadcasts Ethereum transactions through Hopper. So basically, it's 2 components. One is you need to just wrap a like ETH like send signed transaction, it's called, and this thing needs to receive transactions through Hopper, and the other thing needs to be able, like for users, I need to like connect to the service through Hopper somehow. So that would be the first, like very, very simple and very minimalistic use of Hopper that makes some sort of sense. And the third one is, so Hopper is running on the Gnosis chain, like, many great projects here. And we're leveraging payment channel infrastructure for sending this data around. So to explain this, I need to minimally go into how Hopper works. So you can send data packets through intermediate relay hops. That's a little bit what the name Hopper should suggest. And why would they relay your data packets? Because they get paid for that service in Hopper tokens. And for doing that in an efficient manner, even on Gnosis chain, we are leveraging our own payment channel infrastructure. So we're having a bounty to visualize that payment channel infrastructure because it's important information that you as a node operator actually need in order to make meaningful decisions to whom should I open a payment channel. So that last bounty is a visualization of the payment channel infrastructure. And yeah, that's what we have in bounties for in Denver. By the way, I would just like to highlight one thing that I find personally pretty cool. So the entity that pays the sponsorship of ETH Denver is Hopper Association, but the bounties are being sponsored by the Hopper DAO. It's something that I'm personally a huge fan of DAOs. That's why I'm very happy to be here at DXDAO in the call. But it was very awesome for me to see, like, our community was voting on how do we actually distribute the rewards which were collected through Balancer and Uniswap earlier last year. And like there's a bunch of DAI and a bunch of Hopper that were collected, and the DAO voted on some fraction of that being distributed in bounties, and we will allocate that at ETH Denver. So yeah, DAO sponsoring, ecosystem incentives for other developers out there.
Wonderful. And I know from Michael, because we are using Pocket Network infrastructure, that you've had conversations. Would there be any collaboration?
Yes. So I think Pocket Network is also a great project because it goes so totally in the direction of, again, like decentralized infrastructure to empower the individual, right? So great project. I really think extremely highly of Michael and the whole team. Yes, we have talked to them. To be honest, it's a little bit too early to, try to make, some Pocket things happening through Hopper. But that being said, there's a privacy issue in Pocket Network, or frankly, any other peer-to-peer infrastructure. And that is, imagine you are a Pocket node operator. Like what that means is you're actually an Ethereum node operator that makes that endpoint available through Pocket Network. I'm just like a John Doe user who uses that. Again, now you, instead of Infura, you see the request that Sebastian is making from which IP address and, through which account, which is a little bit messed up, right? So basically, in order to have Pocket Network in a kind of safe way, it has to happen through privacy infrastructure like Hopper. Currently, if you're currently a Pocket user, don't freak out. How's this currently being solved? they're having kind of a centralized proxy through which this is going. So you're exposing your data to that proxy, and not just to some unknown user of who's running a Pocket node there. So it's a solution, but it's a temporarily centralized solution in order to have something that actually works down the road. So yeah, we're planning to solve something there for a bunch of decentralized projects like Pocket Network. But honestly speaking, Hopper needs another 6 months of development for having general purpose solution like RPC providers working. On our way to get there, the first little baby step in that direction is hopefully the bounty that will work at East Denver for broadcasting transactions.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
it's really
Sebastian,
exciting to see organizations like Hopper building this amazing technology that surprisingly no one else has thought of up until this point. It seems like, decentralization is being thrown everywhere as a term in Web3 and DeFi, but it's not widely applicable everywhere. It still needs to be worked on for the industry to deserve to use this term.
I 100% agree. Thank you.
Sebastian, does that imply that professional front runners are basically incentivized to like participate and run front end or RPC endpoints in the Pocket network?
You actually hit a very, very, very important point that I didn't make yet. It was a bit too short time, but yes. So exactly that. And it's not just Pocket Network. So if you're thinking about it, like Pocket Network is solving an important problem, right? And I don't want to undermine what they do. They're great guys. They're building a great product. But just like with any other Web3 project that is not specific to just Pocket Network, if we don't watch out, we're going to get much more privacy wrecked than on the Web2. So exactly like you just said, a professional front runner would run a Pocket node, B, the graph node, C, an IPFS node, and try to harvest the fuck everything they can about you. Because none of the three infrastructures that I mentioned is able to, in an end game scenario, provide actual privacy in and by itself. Some of them, like the Graph and like Pocket Network, have temporarily centralized some pieces of the infrastructure to not get people wrecked today, but that is not decentralized, right? So both the Graph and Pocket Network have centralized relays, proxies, through which you're going in order to avoid that problem, but that's not really a solution, right? So yes, you're absolutely right. If we don't watch out, then professional front runners are going to run nodes on all of these networks in order to learn as much about you as they can. Because if you take MEV to the next level, like, DeFi front running was the beginning, hardcore data harvesting is the end game. Hardcore data harvesting on all available networks, on all possible data modalities that there are out there. And yeah, preventing that is what we and many others are working on. And again, Hopper is only a solution to a small subset of these issues. Like privacy needs to be achieved across the stack.
Yeah, this is super interesting. Yeah, Nathan, do you want to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, well, once again, thank you for joining us, Sebastian. It's been a great pleasure. Looking forward to meeting you in person and chatting further.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys, for having me. And please do ping me on Twitter or Telegram at scburgel is my last name. And I would be happy to connect. And maybe one last thing I wanted to throw in. I know that there's many great projects that DXstar is working on. Please do think about privacy. Please do think about decentralization. I know you do. But things like centralized services, which Uniswap is running, like tracking. I didn't get into like the way that Uniswap is tracking users. It's absolutely ridiculous. Please don't do it. please do take the fundamental values of Web3 series. And yeah, let's get better than mainnet, kind of the big guys who are starting to harvest data. Like, we have to be better than that. Thanks for that, guys.
Yeah,
You're
thanks,
welcome.
Sebastian. And like highly, I mean, this is like on a personal level, highly agree that, these privacy concerns are big and they're not discussed enough. And, this goes from, like you said, MetaMask and the RPC that you're connecting to, DeFi, quote unquote, protocols that are using cookies to track you across the web, which is
Exactly.
just ridiculous.
Yeah, we do take these core tenets to heart, and this is one of the main characteristics of our dApps. Swapper as a DEX allows traders to route orders to other AMMs like Uniswap or SushiSwap without exposing traders to those cookies and analytics that are like traps set on those centralized domains. So anyone listening to this that is trading on Sushi or Uni can freely use Swapper instead. It's a censorship-resistant front end that allows you to trade for no extra charge on Uni or Sushi without sharing your private data with those data harvesters that have nested themselves on those centralized domains. But as we've learned today, it's still no way to protect yourself from the data that is shared with RPCs at this point. So kudos to Hopper for trying to build a solution to solve this problem.
Thanks, Nathan. I just dropped my Twitter thread here. Feel free to also just DM me on Twitter or Telegram, same username there.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian. Do we want to move to the next topic, which is the carrot campaigns? Sky, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, Nathan, maybe. So there's a handful of interesting campaigns that hopefully will be coming up soon. Some, probably launching in the next epoch. Some with different communities, and then some for our own farming strategy. And so we did some tests in the past. We've done a couple one-off examples. We're still a little bit dependent, like the front end showing campaigns and stuff is obviously like a centralized point. And Federico's the main kind of creator of campaigns. But as long as we gather the necessary details and exact language of the conditions and things, we can get those created. And so that's what we're kind of moving forward with. Nathan, I don't know if you wanted to talk about any of them specifically, or
it turns out that everybody that hears of carrot falls in love with it immediately. I'm at this point wondering whether we did right by announcing it right away, because it's such an amazing product that even the MVP seems like a great tool that a ton of protocols in the space can utilize, and pretty much every single organizations that we've chatted with have welcomed it right away and asked if they could use it. And at this point, the bottleneck is really too much of a demand, and us still working on further developing the next version of it, which is V1, and kind of torn in between allocating our dev resource between working on the new version, whether we should focus on the front end or partner with all of these organizations that are interested in creating campaigns at this point. We'll do it later with the newer version. So it does take some strategic thinking and properly planning our steps forward. But in any way we look at it, it's an amazing success already. As a product within our umbrella, under our umbrella of DXDAO, we should probably think of ramping up in any way possible dev resource. I know that Zed has already offered, has shared his opinion that we could do it a little more on the front end, but again, that is still dependent on the as a full stack development of the front end. It's not just a design that needs a facelift. It does require still some kind of back-end development to support that. So we again come to the bottleneck of marketing the product, meeting huge demand, and having to cool off the initial excitement so we could keep up with development to get to the stage where we could meet the demand. So yeah, we need to be strategic about it, but overall,
Nathan,
amazing.
maybe we can start collecting sort of like, I don't know, just a sheet with all the possible campaigns that people want to run. In general, like, I very much agree with you. Like, Carrot is an amazing product. It's very easy to understand like what's the value proposition of this, and every single project should like reads this and understands that they need and want to use it. And then yeah, like we are, we did market this, and there's a lot of influx of people who want to who basically want to use it. I can say that after I tweeted, a bunch of people started messaging me about this and how to get started and stuff like that. And yeah, we have, I guess maybe John, this is probably for the dev call, like, I don't know, regarding resources and how do we allocate a bit more to that, or yeah, I don't know if you want to say a word about that.
Yeah, we can definitely talk more if there's some need for front-end development or something that we could allocate. We could potentially move people to it.
Yeah, and in terms of possible campaigns, Federico is keeping track of all of the suggestions we've made in our forum throughout the past few months. And also, we have strategically approached the participation of DXDAO in the ETH Denver Bidlathon with putting bounties on Carrot and building on top of Carrot. So I think we're moving in the right direction and taking the right steps. We should just be patient, and everything will fall into place when the time comes. It's still way early.
Yeah, and because it's early, I think it's very important for DX if this is such a good product and everyone thinks it's so amazing, DXDAO should be the main user of it. And the fact that we did a couple and then we haven't been using it, and we're hopefully going to use it in the next epoch, and how to figure out what the good campaigns are to do, and exactly how to use it, and what didn't work and what will work. We should be using it we should be using it a ton for experimental and learning how to use it, rather than just like let other communities like try and experiment themselves. We can blend that on top, but really, if it's actually that great of a product and it's DeFi 2.0 and it's smart and it's better incentives, we should be using it ourselves in scale, and we haven't been, basically.
We did just pass a proposal yesterday to give a 10K Carrot grant to Atlantis, which is a really think cool way of using it for DX Ventures. But yeah, I think we could do more.
Yeah, and also last Friday we had a chat about the pending single token staking campaign that could possibly utilize Carrot as well, and it's an internal initiative. So we are taking the right steps. Yeah.
Yeah, and like just echo Chris. Like I think I don't know, maybe this is something that we could like talk about more. Like we're literally leading by example, and if there's like a grant investment into a project that we're interested in, we're going to use we're going to use Carrot to sort of long-term incentivize them to actually deliver. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and also I just realized the upcoming epoch on Gnosis with liquidity mining will also be utilizing Carrot. So we are actually heavy users already. We do need patience. Everything is great. Perhaps we should think of helping, the current, dev resource be strategically deployed where it's most useful. But it's a subject on another call. I think we're doing everything we can, and everything is great. We should just be proud with what we're doing. We need patience. I'm mentioning it for the 5th time, but it's never enough.
Yeah. Yeah, great job. Do you want to speak about the esports big picture? Dave, are you here? Or Sky, if you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So Dave is here.
Yeah.
So doing some, I think Dave's planning to meet with the team. So now that we have this sponsorship pretty much complete and in place, we really want to focus on getting some, real world actions from their community, whether it's starting with POAPs, which is like a really easy way to bring very new people into the space, getting kind of maybe a cool POAP in the hands of their audiences, which could then lead to like in a later stage participation in actual governance of their community. But I think as we move forward, we don't want to just let this sit, and we really want to leverage DX Vote and potentially guilds for an actual real world use case in a new community that's new to the Web3 environment. But if we can solve this and use this as a case study, and we can get DXDAO's governance or one of our pieces of our governance framework into the hands of those people, most likely I'm guessing it would be on Gnosis chain, that would be a really big win, and then it could be something that could be replicable to other communities as well. And so we want to move forward with that. And I think it will be awesome. We'll have the jerseys will be worn in ETH Denver, and I think that this is the type of story that we've seen a couple mainstream articles about DAOs and stuff, and they always want to talk about the gimmicky, Constitution DAO and buying real world art or whatever, because it's like easy for regular people to understand. And so here is an example of DXDAO and a real world esports team doing something that like at least techie or esports people or regular people that might not know that much about Web3 can also understand. And so hopefully getting some awareness from some reporters or some publications at ETH Denver would be a win coming out of the week, I think. And this could be a story that might be more exciting. I think Carrot is also an interesting story if once you tell a reporter like kind of what Carrot is, and they're like, oh, it's amazing branding, and that sounds like an amazing product, and it's kind of specific to DeFi, but both of those things can be stories that hopefully spread during ETH Denver is one of our goals, I think.
Yeah, completely echo what Sky said. So the Copenhagen Flames actually confirmed the player jerseys arrived today. So there's a big tournament coming up this month. So there'll be having the new jerseys, which include the DXDAO logo, of course, and they'll also be doing a photo shoot, so they'll update all their online presence and social media to include the new jerseys. And yeah, we have a limited batch going out to Denver as well of jerseys for us because of the Chinese New Year. That was like quite delayed, so they just had the stock they already had in Copenhagen, and I assume they printed the DXDAO logo on it locally. So we'll probably have, I guess, a large amount of that going to team members, and then probably, you know, it makes sense to like decide who we want to give them to. So I know we already have some confirmations as well from like media people, or for example, I believe Ishita from Misari, who wrote the NBA DAO story or NFL DAO story, whichever one it was. So of course, it would be great to give her one and kind of tell her about what we're planning to do, and hopefully, you know, get some coverage that way. I know we don't have the greatest press, PR, media outreach, but you know, ETH Denver is obviously a great opportunity. And yeah, just syncing up today, next day with the Copenhagen Flames communications guy. Of course, they have some ties to the media, so hopefully they can get some exposure on the esports side. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Yeah, that's kind of working around the announcement, and as Kai said, you know, launching a POAP with the announcement. And yeah, I think that's also later on when we do some governance stuff with them. I think it makes sense to do it like POAP based. You know, like you know, we can launch as many POAPs as we want, of course, maybe during their games, maybe during their tournaments and stuff, and try and get there. I think the main goal behind the POAPs is really to get their community engaged behind the project, but also get their community set up with MetaMask wallets or private, you know, get them to set up their private keys. And POAP apparently has a service which also helps with this. So I think POAP is really a great way to onboard non-Web3 people, and POAP should probably be paying us for all the biz dev work we're doing for them.
Nice.
They are. They're just not. You're not receiving it yet. Future POAP token airdrop.
Wait, are you guys getting jerseys for ETH Denver?
Of course, man.
Dave, save me one, please.
We're only getting 50 jerseys, but then in March they'll be shipping 350 jerseys to my place. Then we'll have plenty to give, and we can order as many as we want, but I think it's like €34 the jersey. So, you know, we started with 400, and then if we need more, perhaps when DevCon comes around or something like that, we can always reorder more if we want. But I think it's also cool for them to be kind of limited, right? We don't want everyone to have one, so I guess we can just see how quickly we run through them, and yeah, if we need more, we can always reorder. That's not an issue.
Just securing myself one.
No worries. Zed has already reserved one with me as well, so I'll be shipping them out.
Yeah. I don't know if we. I mean,
did you? Yeah, we mentioned it briefly on the community call, but did you guys think the idea of taking, like, you know, I don't know if it's 10% of the merch we have at ETH Denver? Obviously, there's some merch that maybe some contributors that can't make it want, but then also holding off like a box or two of merch that we can actually try to get in the hands of DXDAO community members through either POAP raffles or other contests and things that for people that can't make it to Denver. And maybe it doesn't have to be 10% of the merch, or, you know, even 5% of the merch. Or is that something that we think is a good idea that we want to do? Because if we do, if we want to do it, we obviously need to consciously and actively do it. Or is it like the merch should just go to people that end up in Denver? Any opinions? I mean, this would, like,
Can
once
I have
the
a
raffle
biased opinion?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, so we would be sending, you know, we would hold this merch aside and have contests and things and actually send it out to people. Obviously, there would be some address collection and stuff, but is that something the community wants to do or not? Or no one cares?
Well, I feel like we don't. There's the ones that are going to be in Denver, and then there's the 350. So I feel like the one we don't need to decide on it until the 350, right?
No. I'm talking about the other merch that's at Denver. Like all the people that are in the DXDAO Discord, do you think they want to have a chance to get a ETH Denver DXDAO beanie, or is that not interesting? Or a sweatshirt or a shirt?
I mean, I think it'd be cool to like raffle those off at certain times, right? Like free, not just giving away money or DXD, but like give away some swag.
Yeah, and I guess someone would have to take care of the logistics, right? I don't know what numbers we're talking about, but that can also get quite intense. But it could be cool. I know Sky also last time you mentioned the Uniswap sock stuff, to do something like that with the jerseys as well, right? I think that could also be really cool. But yeah, just worth thinking about the logistics. Like someone will have to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, to replicate something like Unisocks with like jerseys, you either have to go all in with that or not. You can't give out some jerseys to like contributors and some people at Denver, and then also do limited Unisocks version style of jerseys. You can't do both, basically. So you have to either go all in or not.
I mean, you can still do NFTs, which you can redeem for a jersey, I mean, but yeah. But I was also talking just for the general merch, like there's some logistics behind it, right? But why not?
Yeah.
I like working towards the NFT idea and the Unisocks idea, but I don't think we can do that with this first batch of jerseys. They're just going to be like cool. But then the other things, like we could think about what is a product that we could maybe do that would have a little bit more longevity.
Yep. Yeah, so I have to drop maybe and keep the discussion going. But